Golf is a sport that prides itself on its strict adherence to rules and etiquette. However, even the most well-intentioned golfers may break rules without realizing it. In this video, we will explore some of the most common rules that golfers break without realizing and offer tips for avoiding these infractions in the future. Let's get started. Picking ball up to identify it without first marking its position. Rule 7.3. One-stroke penalty. The rules have been modified to allow lifting without the need for an observer, but it is important to indicate the position of the ball before doing so. Despite the 2019 rules changes, some individuals continue to neglect this step. Failing to mark the ball's position prior to lifting it for identification will result in a penalty. Wiping away sand on fringe. Rule 8. 1A. Improving conditions affecting stroke, line of play, general penalty. Loose impediments on the green are limited to sand and loose soil. Therefore, if you are on the fringe attempting to putt and encounter sand or loose soil from a greenside bunker on your line, you are permitted to remove it from the putting green but not from the fringe. This rule is often overlooked by even the most skilled golfers, as was demonstrated when Rory McIlroy was penalized for brushing sand on his line from the fringe in Abu Dhabi a few years ago. The only exception to this rule is if the sand arrived on the fringe after your ball came to rest, such as when another player's bunker shot causes sand to scatter all over your line before you have a chance to play. Playing from a wrong green. Rule 13.1F General penalty. Taking free relief at the nearest point that avoids interference from the wrong green with your ball's lie, your stance, or your intended swing is mandatory. However, this rule could be misunderstood on links courses where two greens are adjacent with only a short fringe grass separating them. While putting might seem like the obvious choice, playing from the wrong green is prohibited, regardless of how close they are. Nevertheless, this rule does not apply to double greens, where playing to the correct flag from what appears to be the wrong part of your green is permissible. Playing a second ball without announcing it's a provisional. Rule 18. 3B. Although using the term provisional is the simplest way to convey this, it's not necessary. However, you must explicitly state that you are hitting a second ball provisionally if you haven't found the first one or if it's out of bounds. Just saying I'm hitting another or reloading before striking the ball isn't sufficient, as the second ball will become the ball in play even if you later find the first one in the fairway. Despite being in competitions, some individuals still neglect to follow this rule, asking what club someone else has just hit before playing. Rules 10. 2A. General penalty. While you are allowed to inquire about distances which are considered public information, it is prohibited to request information from fellow players regarding the club they recently used before you hit your shot or tamper with their equipment to determine their club choice. It is noteworthy that refraining from touching or moving any equipment would not be regarded as advice. Further details on what qualifies as advice can be found in Rule 10. 2A. There's lots more on exactly what does and doesn't constitute advice in interpretations on the definitions. Here are just a couple of examples. Considered advice. As a player prepares to take their shot over a sizable water hazard, a fellow group member remarks, "You know the wind is in your face and it's 250 yards to carry that water?" Not considered advice. During play of the 6th hole, a player asks another player what club he or she used on the 4th hole that is a par 3 of similar length. A player makes a second stroke that lands on the putting green. Another player does likewise. The first player then asks the second player what club was used for the second stroke. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.